The door swung open like a thunderclap in the dim afternoon haze. And there he stood, Jax, my stepson, his broad shoulders filling the frame, eyes locking onto my bare skin before I could even twist away from the shower steam. Water dripped from my body onto the tiled floor of our Seattle bathroom, each drop echoing the sudden freeze in his gaze. A mix of shock and something unspoken that hung heavier than the Pacific Northwest rain outside. In that instant, everything I had buried deep in the quiet routines of our blended family cracked open, raw and undeniable, because Jax did not turn away. I remember the exact slant of the light filtering through the frosted window, casting long shadows across the porcelain sink, turning the room into a stage set for some indie drama no one asked for. Cameron Hale, 42, architect by trade, husband by obligation, and something far more complicated in the hidden corners of my heart. I had married Elena 5 years ago, drawn in by her fierce laugh and the way she filled a room with stories of her travels, her olive skin glowing under bar lights in a Capitol Hill dive. She was the kind of woman who made you believe in second chances. Or at least that's what I told myself when we said our vows in a small ceremony overlooking Puget Sound. Jax came with the package. Her son from a previous life, 23 now, all lean muscle and restless energy from years on soccer fields and late-night shifts at the coffee roastery downtown. He called me Cam, not Dad, which was fine, a boundary we both respected like the invisible lines on a blueprint. That afternoon, the house on Queen and Hill felt emptier than usual. Elena was in Portland for a conference, her absence a brief exhale in our otherwise synced schedules. I had just finished a long day sketching elevations for a new condo project in Belltown, the kind of work that paid the bills but left my soul sketching shadows. The shower was my ritual, hot water sluicing away the grit of deadlines and the low hum of unspoken wants. I stood there, eyes closed, letting the steam wrap around me like a confession I would never voice. And then the door. Jax's voice broke the silence first, low and ragged, like gravel under tires. Cam. Shit. I didn't know. He was supposed to be at practice, or work, or anywhere but here, bursting into the guest bath because, he later admitted, he thought it was empty, his mind on some fight with his girlfriend or the latest band gig falling through. But in that moment, his eyes traced the lines of my body, not with revulsion, but curiosity, a flicker that made my pulse stutter. I grabbed the towel from the rack, wrapping it around my waist too late, the air between us thick with the scent of cedar, soap, and unspoken questions. Sorry, kid, I muttered, forcing a laugh that came out hollow, stepping past him into the hallway where the hardwood floors creaked under my damp feet. He didn't move, just stood there in his faded hoodie and jeans, the ones splattered with rain from the walk home. His dark hair tousled like he had run his hands through it a dozen times. Jax had Elena's eyes, deep brown and stormy, but his father's build, broad and unyielding. He was straight as an arrow, or so the world assumed, girls rotating through his life like seasons in the city, brief and vivid. But that look, that pause, it lingered. We avoided it at dinner that night. Elena's still away, the two of us picking at takeout Thai from the place on Leary Way. The TV droned in the background, some cop show with flickering blue lights, but neither of us watched. Jax shoveled pad, CEW into his mouth, his knee bouncing under the table, while I nursed a beer, the condensation pooling on the coaster like unshed tears. "Rough day?" I asked, aiming for normalcy. The architect in me always rebuilding bridges. He shrugged, eyes on his plate. "Yeah. Broke up with Mia." Again, Mia was the latest. A barista with tattoos snaking up her arms. The kind who quoted poetry over IPAs. They fought like monsoons, passionate and destructive, leaving Jax adrift in the aftermath. I nodded, offering the standard stepdad wisdom about time healing, about finding someone who sticks. But inside, my mind replayed the bathroom, the way his gaze had held mine, not fleeing but exploring, as if he had stumbled into a room he did not know existed in his own home. The conversation veered, as it always did with us, to safer ground, the Mariners' slim playoff chances, the new brewpub opening in Fremont, the way Seattle's fog made everything feel like a secret. Jax laughed at my joke about overpriced lattes. A real one this time, his shoulders relaxing. But when he stood to clear the plates, our hands brushed in the sink, and the air hummed again. Electric. I pulled back first, excusing myself to the study, where blueprints waited like old friends, lines straight and predictable. Sleep came fitful that night, the rain pattering against the window like fingers tapping impatience. I dreamed in fragments, Jax's silhouette in the doorway, Elena's wedding ring glinting in the light, my own reflection in the mirror, naked and unmasked. By morning, the house smelled of coffee. Jax already up, scrolling his phone at the kitchen island. "Morning, Cam," he said, voice casual, but his eyes met mine over the rim of his mug, holding just a beat too long. The days blurred after that, autumn settling over the city like a heavy coat. Leaves turned gold along the locks. Cyclists zipped past in neon jackets, and I buried myself in work, drafting sustainable designs for eco-friendly lofts. The irony not lost on me as I redesigned spaces for lives more honest than my own. Elena returned, her suitcase thumping in the hall, arms wrapping around me with stories of rain-soaked streets and bad hotel coffee. We made love that night, tender and familiar, her body a map I knew by heart. But my mind wandered to the boy down the hall, to the crack in the facade. Jax threw himself into distractions, picking up extra shifts at the roastery, where the air was thick with beans and ambition. He talked about moving out, crashing with buddies in a warehouse loft near the water, chasing that elusive dream of music production. "Gotta get out of this bubble," he said one evening, sprawled on the couch with a guitar across his lap, fingers plucking idle chords. Elena smiled, ruffling his hair, proud of her fledgling artist. I watched from the armchair, the fire crackling in the grate, and wondered what bubble he meant, if it was the one we all shared or something deeper, personal. It started small, those threads pulling tighter. A shared run along the Burke-Gilman Trail, our breaths sinking in the chill air, sweat beading on his temple as he pushed harder, testing limits. "You're tougher than you look, old man," he teased, punching my arm lightly, the contact lingering. At home, movie nights turned charged, Elena dozing on my shoulder while Jax and I dissected plot twists, our laughter low and conspiratorial. One night, after a thriller about forbidden desires, he turned to me in the dark living room, voice soft. "You ever feel like you're living someone else's script?" "Cam," the question hung, vulnerable, and I swallowed hard, the towel moment flashing between us like a ghost. All the time, I admitted, the words slipping out before I could blueprint them away. He nodded, eyes distant, and the silence stretched, comfortable yet electric, the city's hum filtering through the walls. Weeks passed, the incident fading into the rhythm of meals and errands. But it simmered beneath. Elena noticed my distraction, chalking it up to deadlines, her hand squeezing mine over breakfast burritos from the food truck on 15th. "You're my rock, Cam," she whispered, and guilt twisted like rebar in my gut. Jax, meanwhile, grew quieter, his breakups piling like autumn debris, girls fading into texts unread. Then came the storm, literal and not. A nor'wester howled through the night, winds rattling the eaves, power flickering. Elena was at a late gallery opening, her art world pulling her into velvet ropes and champagne flutes. Jax and I hunkered in the kitchen, candles guttering on the counter, whiskey glasses sweating in our hands. To surviving the apocalypse, he toasted, "Klinking mine," his knee brushing my thigh under the table. The touch was accidental, or so we pretended, but neither pulled away. Talk turned deep, the liquor loosening tongues. He confessed fears of failure, of being stuck in Elena's shadow, of a life scripted by expectations. I look at you and Elena, and it's like, perfect. How do you do that? His eyes searched mine, raw, and I saw it then, the mirror of my own hidden fractures. It's not perfect, Jax. It's work. And sometimes, it's lonely. The words escaped, heavy with truth, and his hand covered mine on the table, warm and steady. Time suspended, the storm raging outside, and in that candlelit bubble, boundaries blurred. When the power surged back, lights flooding harsh, we sprang apart, laughter nervous, excuses tumbling. But the seed was planted, roots delving into soil long parched. The next morning, over eggs and the Seattle Times, Jax met my gaze again, a question unspoken. And I knew, with the clarity of a finished drawing, that everything had indeed changed. The following days unfolded like a slow zoom in a film. Every interaction sharpened, colors more vivid against the gray Seattle skyline. I caught myself watching Jax more, noting the way his shoulders tensed when he scrolled job listings, the curve of his neck as he bent over his laptop, chord of indie folk spilling from his headphones. It was innocent, I told myself, the concern of a stepfather for a young man adrift. But lies have a way of eroding foundations, and mine were cracking under the weight of that whiskey-lit touch. Elena sensed the shift. Her artist's eye attuned to subtleties. "You two seem closer lately," she said one evening, curled against me on the couch, her fingers tracing patterns on my chest. The TV murmured a documentary on urban renewal, ironic backdrop to our own domestic evolution. A murmured agreement, kissing her temple, her scent of lavender and canvas grounding me. She was my anchor, Elena Vasquez Hale, 45, with laugh lines earned from raising Jax alone after his father bailed for Silicon Valley promises. Her gallery in Pioneer Square showcased emerging talents, voices from the margins. And in her, I found a partner who saw beauty in broken things. How could I confess the fracture I was becoming? Jax, for his part, dove into a new routine, joining a co-ed soccer league in Discovery Park. The field's mud-slick under perpetual drizzle. "Come watch," he texted one Saturday, the message popping up as I sketched in the study. I hesitated, blueprints blurring, then grabbed my jacket, the one with the frayed cuffs from too many site visits. The park was alive with shouts and the thud of boots on wet grass. Evergreens towering like silent judges. Jax spotted me from the sideline, waving with that grin, boyish and unguarded, his cleats caked in earth. He played fierce, channeling frustrations into sprints and headers, his body a blur of determination. When his team scored, he pumped his fist, eyes seeking mine in the crowd, a thrill zipping through me unbidden. After, flushed and steaming in the chill, he jogged over, jersey clinging damply. "What did you think, Coach?" The word hung playful, but his proximity, the heat radiating, made my throat dry. "Impressive. You got fire, kid." I clapped his shoulder, the muscle firm under my palm, and he leaned in, voice low amid the dispersing players. "Thanks for coming. Means something." His eyes held mine, brown depths swirling with the storm's remnants. And for a heartbeat, the world narrowed to us, the salt air sharp, the ferry horn moaning distant. We grabbed Foe at a hole in the wall on the way home, steam rising from bowls like shared secrets. He talked about the game, about a missed pass that cost him a goal, self-deprecating humor masking deeper doubts. "Sometimes I feel like I'm always one step behind. You know, like everyone else has the playbook." I nodded, slurping noodles, the broth warming the chill in my bones. "Life's not a game with rules, Jax. It's more like improv. You make it up as you go." He laughed, but his gaze lingered, probing. "You make it sound easy. How do you stay so steady?" The question pierced, and I set down my chopsticks, the clink loud in the quiet booth. "Practice. And good people." Our knees touched under the table, unmoving, and neither acknowledged it, the air humming with possibility. Back home, Elena waited with takeout, sushi, and wine, her cheeks flushed from a day wrangling artists. Dinner was lively, stories overlapping, but I felt Jax's eyes on me across the spread of miso soup and nigiri, a current pulling. Later, as Elena and I washed dishes, her hip bumping mine in rhythm, Jax appeared in the doorway, towel around his neck from a post-game shower. "Night, guys." His voice was casual, but the glance he spared me was anything but a spark in the dim kitchen light. Sleep evaded me that night, the ceiling fan whirring like thoughts in overdrive. I rose, padding to the kitchen for water, the clock glowing 2:17 a.m. Jax was there too, silhouetted against the fridge's open door, guzzling orange juice straight from the carton. He startled, nearly spilling, then grinned sheepishly. "Can't sleep, too much on the mind." I leaned against the counter, arms crossed, the cool granite grounding. He wiped his mouth, stepping closer, the space between us shrinking. "Me too. That game. It stirred shit up." His voice dropped. "Confessional. Ever feel like you're pretending? Like the straight-A Jax. The good son. The guy who dates girls because that's the script." My breath caught, the words a mirror to my own masquerade. "Every day," I whispered, the admission raw. He stepped nearer, the carton forgotten, his hand brushing my arm. "Tentative." Cam, that day in the bathroom, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Time fractured, the rain tapping Morse code on the window, and then his lips were on mine, hesitant, seeking, a question posed in heat. I pulled back first, heart hammering, the taste of citrus lingering. Jax, we can't. But my voice lacked conviction, and his eyes, wounded yet defiant, held me captive. Why not? Because I'm straight? Or because you're married to my mom? The words sliced, truth bleeding, and he stormed out, door slamming like finality. Morning brought awkward silences, Elena oblivious, humming as she packed lunches. Jax avoided me, headphones in, out the door for a shift before I could bridge. Guilt coiled in my gut, a serpent awakening, and I threw myself into a client meeting downtown, the Space Needle piercing clouds like accusation. Over lattes at the conference table, I nodded through feedback on load-bearing walls, but my mind sketched forbidden lines. Jax's kiss a blueprint I could not erase. That evening, reconciliation came haltingly. Elena out at book club, Jax and I alone again, the house a pressure cooker. He was in the living room, strumming guitar, melodies mournful. I sat across, beer in hand. About last night, I started, but he cut in, eyes fierce. Don't. Just. Tell me it didn't mean anything to you. Vulnerability cracked his voice, and I crossed the room, kneeling before him, hands on his knees. It meant everything. And that's the problem. We talked then, hours bleeding into night, peeling layers like onions in the dim lamplight. He confessed confusions, dreams of boys in locker rooms dismissed as phases, the weight of expectations in a city that prided itself on progress, yet whispered judgments. I shared fragments of my own youth, coming out in a conservative suburb outside Chicago, the ache of hiding from family, the bars in Boys Town where I found fleeting homes. Love isn't a straight line, Jax. It's a structure, built on truths. His hand found mine, interlacing fingers. And this time, when we kissed, it was deliberate, slow. The guitar sliding to the floor forgotten. Bodies pressed, explorations tentative, the couch cradling us in its worn leather. But midway, doubt surged, Elena's face flashing, and I stopped, forehead against his. This could destroy us all. He nodded, tears glistening. I know, but I can't pretend anymore. The confession hung, a turning point, and as the clock struck midnight, we parted, unresolved, the kiss a promise and a peril. Days stretched taut, normalcy a fragile veneer. Soccer practices, gallery openings, architect bids, all underscored by stolen glances, brushed touches in passing. Elena planned a weekend getaway to the San Juans. Oblivious, her excitement infectious. Family time, she beamed, and guilt gnawed deeper, a fault line widening. On the ferry ride, waves chopping below, Jax and I stood at the rail, wind whipping, Elena inside nursing a latte. What are we doing? He murmured, shoulder to mine. I sighed. The Olympics hazy blue. Falling, I think. And hoping the net holds. The cabin was cozy, wood-paneled, rain-lashing windows. Elena retired early, jet-lagged from a red-eye pitch, leaving us by the fire. Cards shuffled for gin rummy. Loses piled. Last followed. tension easing into warmth. But when she stirred upstairs, we froze, hands withdrawing, the fire popping like warning. Back in Seattle, the dam cracked further. Jax landed a gig mixing tracks for a local band. Elation lighting his face over dinner. Elena toasting with Prosecco. Later, alone in the garage, he pulled me into an embrace, gratitude turning fervent. I need you. Cam. The words undid me, and we tumbled into abandon. The workbench cluttered with tools witness to our unraveling. But dawn brought clarity's cruel light. Elena's car pulling in early from a dawn yoga class. We scrambled. Clothes askew. Hearts pounding. She entered humming, none the wiser, but her eyes narrowed at my flushed cheeks. Everything okay? Suspicion flickered, and I nodded too quickly, the lie a brick in the wall. That night, alone in bed, Elena turned to me, hand on my chest. Talk to me. Love. You're miles away. I held her, whispering banalities, but the distance yawned, a chasm of secrets. Down the hall, Jax texted, can't sleep. Come over? I deleted it, but the pull was inexorable, the change irrevocable. Autumn deepened, leaves carpeting sidewalks in crimson and ochre, the city exhaling into shorter days. Our secret wove through the mundane like ivy on brick, strengthening even as it threatened collapse. Jax's music took off, a demo track landing airplay on KEXP, his confidence blooming like the dahlias in the volunteer park garden. He credited late nights in the home studio, but his eyes always slid to me, gratitude laced with hunger. Elena celebrated, framing prints of his album art, her pride a bomb and a blade. I, meanwhile, poured into a passion project, redesigning a community center in the Central District, spaces for queer youth, murals of resilience splashed across walls. It was catharsis, drafting rooms where truths could breathe, even as mine suffocated at home. Site visits became escapes, hard hats and measuring tapes distancing me from the domestic minefield. But Jax found ways to infiltrate, showing up with coffee from his roastery, just passing through, his smile disarming the crew. One crisp afternoon, amid scaffolding and sawdust, he cornered me in the shadowed alcove of the Future Lounge. Missed you, he breathed, backing me against exposed studs, lips claiming mine with urgency born of deprivation. The kiss was fire, hands roaming, but voices echoed from the hall, and we broke apart, breathless, laughter nervous. Dangerous habit, I chided, straightening my shirt, but my body betrayed me, alive in ways it hadn't been in years. Elena grew watchful, her questions probing over shared plates of Coke au vin. Her recipe tweaked from a Paris trip. You've been distant. Cam. Is it the project? I deflected with affection, pulling her into dances in the kitchen to Al Green on vinyl. Her laughter, my temporary salvation. But intimacy waned. My response is mechanical, guilt manifesting in headaches and forgotten anniversaries. She confronted me one night, wine glasses clinking like accusations. Is there someone else? Her eyes, hurt and hopeful, pierced. No, él. Just stress. The lie tasted bitter, and she accepted it, curling into me. But the seed of doubt took root. Jax, sensing the tremor, pull back too. Our encounters reduced to loaded glances over breakfast. Text deleted in haste. The house became a stage. Performances flawless yet exhausting. Then betrayal brewed, subtle as fog rolling in. Jax's bandmate, Theo, a lanky drummer with a man bun and easy charm, started crashing practices at our place. He was out and proud. Stories of pride parades and grinder escapades peppering conversations. Jax absorbed it like sponge. Questions veiled. And I watched, pride mingling with jealousy as Theo slung arms around him. Brotherly but charged. One evening, post-rehearsal, Theo lingered. Beers cracked on the deck, overlooking the hill's twinkling lights. Elena was at a vernissage, leaving us three to the chill air and craft IPAs. Theo regaled with tales of a hookup gone wrong. Laughter booming, and Jax leaned in, hopped. "Sounds freeing," he said, voice wistful, and Theo clapped his back. "Your turn, man." Plenty of fish in the sound. I excused myself early, the scene twisting like exposed wiring. In the study, jealousy flared irrational. Blueprints crumpled under fist. Was this what I wanted for him? Freedom without me? The door creaked. Jax entering, brow furrowed. "You okay?" His hand on my shoulder ignited, and I spun, pulling him close. Kiss desperate. "Don't let him change you," I growled, words possessive, and he pushed back, eyes flashing. "Change me or scare you off?" The argument erupted, voices hushed but venomous, accusations flying like sparks. "You're using me to figure yourself out," I hissed, and he recoiled, wounded. "And you're hiding behind Mom, too scared to live." Truth landed like a gut punch, and he stormed out, guitar case slamming, the deck door rattling. Theo shot me a look, wary, but said nothing, trailing Jax into the night. Elena returned hours later, finding me nursing scotch, her touch tentative. "Rough night," I nodded, pulling her down, lovemaking frantic, a bid for normalcy that left us both hollow. She slept, but I lay awake, the city's pulse mocking my turmoil. Reconciliation came piecemeal, Jax returning at dawn, apology in his slumped posture. We met in the garage, tools silent witnesses, his head on my shoulder. "I'm scared too," he admitted, tears hot on my skin. "Theo, he makes it seem easy, but I don't want easy. I want this." Us. Forgiveness flowed, bodies reconnecting in the dim space. Slow and reverent, the betrayal's sting fading into resolve. But ripples spread. Elena found a deleted text on my phone. Innocuous, "See you at the site?" But her face paled. Questions unspoken. She withdrew. Dinner's quiet. Her sketches darker. Figures entangled in shadow. I doubled efforts. Date nights at Canlis with skyline views. Her hand in mine over seared scallops. "I love you," I vowed, and she smiled. Fragile. "Prove it." Jax threw himself into the crisis, his music turning raw, lyrics of hidden hearts echoing our duet. A showcase at Nemo's loomed, his big break, and we attended as family. Elena beaming from the bar, me in the wings, heart swelling at his stage presence, lights gilding sweat-slick skin. Post-set, fans mobbed, Theo among them, but Jax sought me out in the green room, door clicking shut. "For you," he whispered, kiss sealing the night. adrenaline surging. Elena's suspicion peaked that week, confronting Jax over coffee. Her voice maternal steel. "Something's off with Cam. You notice?" He paled, denying, but guilt etched lines on his young face. She pressed, intuition sharp, and he cracked, partial truths spilling, not the full affair. "But Cam's been my rock, Mom." "More than you know." Her eyes narrowed, hurt blooming, and she left the table, unspoken accusations hanging. The fallout simmered, Elena's distance a cold front. She slept in the guest room, citing insomnia, her gallery hours extending into nights of networking mixers. Jax and I navigated minefield, passion tempered by fear, meetings stolen in parks or my office after hours. "We have to tell her," he urged one twilight, tangled in sheets at a no-tell motel off Aurora, the neon sign buzzing judgment. "Soon," I promised, but delay was cowardice, the structure weakening. Crisis crested on a rain-lashed evening, Elena bursting into the study. Phone in hand, screenshots from Theo, careless gossip of Jax and his stepdad's vibe. Her face crumpled, betrayal raw. "How long? Cam, how long have you been lying?" Words failed, Jax appearing in the doorway, pale. The confrontation unfolded like a storm surge, voices rising then breaking, tears carving paths. Elena's pain was visceral, accusations of trust shattered, a family fractured. "I thought we were building something real," she sobbed, and I reached for her, but she recoiled. Jack stepped forward, owning his part. "Mom, it's me. I love him." The admission hung, seismic, and she stared, world tilting. She fled to a friend's, bag packed hasty, the house echoing void. Jax and I clung, grief and guilt entwining, but in the wreckage, honesty bloomed fragile. "We can't lose her," I whispered, and he nodded, resolve hardening. The crisis was upon us, emotions a torrent, but in the deluge, glimmers of healing flickered. The house on Queen and became a husk, furniture accusatory, walls whispering echoes of laughter now silenced. Elena's absence stretched into days. Her text curt, "Need space. Don't call that," each ping a knife twist. I wandered rooms like a ghost. Coffee cold, blueprints untouched. The community center stalled at permitting limbo. Jax moved through similarly, his music muted, gigs canceled, the showcase high a cruel prelude to crash. We leaned on each other, survival instinct raw, nights spent on the couch, bodies entwined for warmth against the chill seeping through cracks. "This is my fault," he murmured one dawn, head on my chest, heartbeat sinking erratic. I stroked his hair, salt and pepper mingling with his dark strands. "Ours. But we'll fix it." Lies of omission had built this, but truths might rebuild, if we dared. Theo proved unlikely ally, dropping by with Elena's forgotten sketchpad. I sympathetic. "She crashed at my place last night. Talking in circles. Man. About love, betrayal, all that heavy shit." He eyed Jax. Protective. "You too. It's real." "Huh?" Jax nodded, chin lifted, and Theo clapped his shoulder. "Then fight for it. All of it." Wisdom from the drummer. Unexpected grace. I reached out to Elena via letter. Old school. Words poured on linen paper, Confessions of my hidden heart. The bathroom spark igniting long-buried flames. Apologies woven with pleas for understanding. You're my foundation. El. This doesn't erase us, but it redefines. Mailed to the gallery. It was a Hail Mary. Vulnerability exposed. Jax, meanwhile, channeled turmoil into creation. Studio sessions marathon. Tracks layering vulnerability over beats. He played demos for me. Lyrics of fractured homes and forbidden blooms. Voice cracking on choruses. For her, he said, and us. Pride swelled, mingled with ache. His growth a bittersweet bloom. Elena's return came unannounced. Key turning mid-afternoon. Her figure silhouetted in the foyer light. Bags under eyes. Hair unbrushed, but resolve in her stance. We talk. Now, Jax and I gathered in the living room. Fire unlit. Air thick. She sat, hand clasped, voice steady. I read your letter. Cam. It gutted me. But I saw it coming. In the glances, the silences. I just didn't want to. Tears traced her cheeks. And Jax reached. But she waved him off. You, my son, my fierce boy, I'm proud you're claiming your truth. But this, with him, it shatters the family I clawed to build. Words landed heavy. Grief collective. I knelt before her, taking her hands. We can rebuild. El. Not the same, but honest. Therapy. Space. Whatever it takes. She searched my eyes. Then Jax's. The room, the confessional. I need time. Alone. I'll stay with Sophia, her best friend, the sculptor with a loft in Sodo. Departure was quiet. Hugs tentative, her scent lingering like farewell. The door clicked, and Jax collapsed against me, sobs racking. We broke her. Crisis deepened. Emotions a maelstrom. But in the eye, we found footing. Couples counseling for Elena and me. Family sessions looming. But first, Jax and I confronted our bond. Walks along the waterfront became ritual. Ferries churning wakes. Salt spray cleansing. I love you, he said first. Word simple. Profound. Under the shadow of the wheel. I echoed. Kiss ceiling amid tourists oblivious. Betrayal's shadow lingered. However, in whispers from friends, Theo's bandmates side-eyeing. Jax's straight facade crumbled publicly when a tabloid-light blog snippet his stepdad drama, speculation rife. He faced it head-on, posting a vague statement on socials, living my truth. Grateful for love, in all forms. Backlash hit. Homophobic trolls. But support surged. Fans doubling. Elena liking from afar. My own world tilted. Colleagues at the firm murmuring. A partner pulling me aside. Personal life's personal. Hail. But keep it tidy. I nodded. But inside, resolve hardened. The community center would be my statement. Walls painted with stories like ours. Groundbreaking neared. Shovels in soil symbolic. Elena's thaw came gradual. A text, coffee, neutral ground. At the roastery, Jax's domain. We sat in a corner booth. Steam curling. I'm angry, she admitted, stirring oat milk. But I love you both. Messy as it is, tears mingled with lattes. Hugs exchanged. First bridge mended. She agreed to sessions. A queer family therapist in Capitol Hill. Space for all voices. Healing's path wound rocky. Sessions raw. Words excavated like artifacts. Elena voiced betrayal's sting. Jax's confusion's birth. Me my cowardice's cost. Progress inched. Dinners resuming tentative. Laughter tentative sprouts. One night, over Elena's paella, Jax cracked a joke about Seattle drivers. And we all laughed. Genuine. The table of fragile unity. But conflict reignited when Jax's ex, Mia, resurfaced, drunk dialing at 2 a.m., voice slurred with miss you. He confided, guilt flaring, and I lashed, insecurity venomous. Am I just a phase? Argument exploded, door slamming echo, him crashing at Theo's. Elena mediated, her calm a lighthouse. Trust is earned anew. Cam. Give him room. Reconciliation in the park. Bench under madronas. Apologies traded like leaves falling. You're not a phase, he vowed. Hand in mine. You're home. Kiss under dappled light. Reaffirmation. As winter loomed, the center broke ground. Ribbon cut amid cheers. Youth in a program beaming. Jax performed. Acoustic set. Lyrics weaving our story sans names. Elena stood beside me. Arm linked. Pride shared. We're survivors, she whispered. And I nodded. Heart full. Yet crisis lingered in undercurrents. Elena dating tentatively. A curator from the fry. Coffees turning dinners. Jealousy flickered. But I swallowed. Growth's price. Jax noticed. Comforting. She deserves joy. Like us. Maturity in his voice. Love deepening. One stormy eve. Power out again. We three gather by candlelight. Board games and stories. No pretenses. Elena shared her own hidden youth. A crush on a roommate in college. Unexplored. Life's layers. Vulnerability bonded. Family reimagined. But the ultimate test brewed. Jax's offer from a Portland label. Relocation tempting. Touring. Producing, it's the dream. Excitement warred with fear. Our fragile triad at stake. Discussion stretched. Emotions cresting. The change from that naked moment evolving into crossroads. Winter clamped down on Seattle. Skies leaden. Holidays a gauntlet of forced cheer. Elena's budding romance with Marcus. The curator. Added layers to our evolving dynamic. Dinners now quartets. His drywood a counterpoint to Jax's fire. I played gracious host. Laughter genuine, but edged with loss. The bed I shared with Elena, now solitary. Her overnight stays at his Beacon Hill walk-up. It's new, she confided over mulled wine at the tree trimming party. Ornaments glinting like teardrops. But I'm happy. Cam. Truly, Jax and I navigated the shift. Our love a quiet harbor amid swells. Mornings found us in the kitchen. Him brewing pour-overs. Me sketching over toast. Touches casual yet charged. His Portland offer loomed. Contract papers arriving crisp in the mail. A siren call to independence. It's just across the border, he reasoned. Sprawled on my bed one night. City lights striping his skin. We can make it work. Weekends. Calls. But doubt not. The distance a potential fracture. Therapy sessions intensified. The therapist. Lena, a soft-spoken woman with silver braids guiding dissections. Boundaries redefine love, she intoned, as Elena voiced relief in her freedom. Jax his terror of abandonment. Me the ache of polyphonic hearts. Progress manifested in small graces. Elena hosting game nights. Jax cooking vegan feasts. Me mediating spats with architect's precision. Betrayal's ghost resurfaced viciously when Mia escalated, showing up at a band practice uninvited. Eyes wild. Accusations spilling. You're gay now? For him. The scene devolved in the warehouse lot. Rain sheeting. Her slaps glancing off Jax's chest. Theo pulled her away. But damage rippled, gossip exploding online. Our family thrust into micro-spotlight. Jax's stream of comments surged. Supportive allies drowning trolls. But the invasion stung. Privacy shredded. Elena rallied, drafting a joint statement for her gallery's socials. Families evolve. Love wins. Shared with Jax's followers. It went viral. Messages pouring, stories of similar journeys. Gratitudes tied. Marcus added levity, quipping over dim sum. Drama's good for the art's soul. His acceptance eased tensions. A bridge unexpected. My own crisis brewed at work. The firm balking and my personal entanglements bleeding into projects. A senior partner suggesting sabbatical. Focus. Hail. Clients talk. Isolation crept. But the community center anchored. Youth mentors confiding parallels to my tale. One kid, 17 and freshly out, hugged me at a workshop. You're proof it's possible. Tears pricked. Purpose reigniting. Jax's decision crystallized over New Year's. Fireworks blooming over the sound from our deck. Elena and Marcus toasted below. Laughter rising. While Jax pulled me aside. Contract in hand. I'm staying. Surprise bloomed. Then understanding. The label's remote now. Hybrid setup. I can't leave this, the city. Mom smile when she talks art. Kiss under pyrotechnics. Resolution sweet. Healing accelerated. Spring teasing with crocuses and planters. Elena and I divorced amicably. Papers signed over coffee at Le Panier. Pastries flaking like old skin shed. Friends. Always, she said. Hugging tight. Marcus waiting discreet outside. Freedom tasted bittersweet. Co-parenting Jax, a new blueprint. Our relationship deepened. Jax moving into the guest room, officially. Then my bed permanent. Dates unfolded. Hikes in the Cascades. Breaths shared on summits. Jazz at Demetrios. His hand in mine unhidden. Quiet nights cooking carbonara. Wine flowing. Bodies mapping familiar terrains. Love matured. Conflicts minor. His messiness clashing my order. Resolved in laughter. But climax brewed in Elena's revelation. Pregnancy. Marcus's. Joy tempered by our history. A sibling for Jax. She beamed at brunch. Bellies full of waffles. Elation mixed with pang. Family expanding, sands me central. Jax hugged her fierce, whispering, Aunt Cam and I got this. The quip lightened. But insecurity whispered, Am I peripheral now? Crisis peaked in a blowout. Jax accusing me of withdrawal. You're pulling away. Like with Mom, words escalated, rooted in my sabbatical fears. His label pressures. I need you all in, he yelled. Storming to the studio. Door barricade. Elena mediated again. Her wisdom maternal. Talk truths, not fears. Reconciliation in the rain. Park bench soaked. Apologies dissolving barriers. Forever, we vowed. Rings exchanged simple at a courthouse. Witnesses Theo and Marcus. Summer arrived verdant. The center opening gala a triumph, ribbon cut by those youth. Murals alive. Jax performed. Set dedicating to hidden builders, eyes on me stage front. Elena, glowing gravid, toasted. To new chapters, pride, swell collective, human tapestry woven. Yet undercurrents stirred, Jax's straight past haunting in dreams. Nightmares of rejection. Therapy unearthed. Sessions joint. Vulnerabilities shared. You're enough, I affirmed. Nights of affirmation. Bodies and words healing scars. Elena's birth approached. Baby shower blend. Queer friends. Family old and new. As contractions loomed, Jax and I paced hospital halls. Elena's hand in mine during pushes. A daughter emerging. Cries piercing. Meet Lila, she named, placing in Jax's arms first. Then mine. Tears flowed. Circle complete. Love expansive. Postpartum haze. We rotated support. Diapers and lullabies. Marcus grateful. Jax's music soared. Album dropping to acclaim. Themes of queer becoming resonant. Tours beckon short. Returns swift to our bed. Our life. Crisis resolved, not in perfection, but acceptance, flaws as features. Elena's family grew. Ours intertwined. Visits frequent. Lila's gurgles bridging. One autumn eve, leaves swirling. Jax proposed redux. Knee in kitchen, flour dusted from pie. Marry me proper, rings simple. Our design. Yes tumbled. Plans for small ceremony. All included. Healing's arc bent toward light. That naked moment genesis of grace. The wedding planning unfolded like a collaborative sketch. Lines converging on a shared canvas. We chose a venue in the San Juan Islands. Ferry ride nostalgic. Evergreens framing a beachside pavilion where Elena and I had honeymooned years prior. Symbolism deliberate. Closure woven into celebration. Jax Dovin. Playlist curated with indie anthems. Boutonnieres of seagrass and lavender his touch. Elena co-chaired. Her input fierce. No drab suits. Think coastal chic. Marcus chuckled. Bouncing Lila on his knee. The toddler's curls a wild halo. My role grounded in details. Vows drafted on recycled paper. Vows promising honesty over perfection. Doubts flickered. Am I worthy? Post-betrayals? But Jax quelled. Mornings with coffee and kisses. We're the story now. Cam. The good part is certainty anchored. Love's architecture solid. Summer waned humid. City buzzing with festivals. Pride a riot of rainbows down Broadway. We marched hand in hand. Jax's sign reading love builds. Elena pushing Lila's stroller beside. Marcus snapping candids. Strangers cheered. Confetti swirling. And in the throng, I glimpsed our journey, from bathroom shock to this parade of authenticity. Tears blurred floats. Catharsis electric. Work stabilized. Sabbatical yielding freelance freedom. Consults for inclusive designs. The center's success spawning commissions. A TEDx invite loomed. Talk on structures of the heart. Weaving architecture with queer resilience. Prep nights. Jax listening rapt. Feedback sharpening. You're brilliant, he said. Pride intimate. Elena's life bloomed parallel. Gallery expansion. Lila's first steps amid sculptures. Marcus proposing under cherry blossoms. Their wedding a garden affair. Us front row. Toasts reciprocal. To blended originals Elena raised. glass clinking ours. History honored. But conflict simmered subtle, Jax's rising fame drawing admirers. Groupies at shows whispering propositions. Jealousy reared. Irrational. Born of past masks. One post-gig. A fan's hand lingered on his arm, and I bristled. Confrontation in the alley shadows. Trust me, he pleaded, hurt flashing. Or we're doomed. Words cut, echoing old fights. And I retreated. Therapy solo un packing insecurities. Healing came in vulnerability. Date night at the aquarium. Jellyfish pulsing ethereal. His hand squeezing. I choose you. Every show, every note, forgiveness flowed. Deeper bond forged. Fall painted the island's gold for our nuptials. Guests ferried over, Theo drumming impromptu. Elena officiating with artist flair. Vows exchanged barefoot on sand. Waves lapping chorus. In fractures, we found strength in truths. Our home, rings slid. Simple bands engraved changed. Kish sealing ermid cheers. Lila toddling forward with petals clutched. Honeymoon echoed Elena's gift, a cabin in the Olympics. Trails winding through fern gullies. Days blurred in hikes and hearthside reeds. Nights entangle. Bodies knowing every curve. This is us, Jax whispered. Stars wheeling overhead. Infinity mirrored. Return thrust into realities. Album tours. My talk circuiting. Elena's exhibit launch. Balance teetered. Arguments over schedules, his late flights. My dawn flights, but communication. Hard won. Steadied. Date jars filled with prompts. Sunset drive. Poetry slam. Kept sparks. Crisis crested unexpectedly. Health scare. Jax's chest pains post-show. ER lights harsh. Tests cleared benign. Stress. Doc said, but fear crystallized fragility. Hospital bed vigil. Elena arriving with coffee. Family vigil. We're tougher, she said. Hand on his. Discharge brought recommitment. Wellness packs. Yoga duets. Therapy check-ins. Winter solstice brought Lila's second birthday. Chaos of cake and crayons. Our gift a custom guitar, tiny scaled. Joy infectious. Marcus grilling. Elena photographing. In the yard. Snow dusting rare. Jax and I swayed slow to carols. World hushed. Spring unfurled projects. Jax's collab with queer artists. Album 2 brewing themes of healing. My book pitch. Memoir blended designs. Agent buzzing. Elena's solo show. Evolutions. Featured us abstract, entwined figures. Colors shifting. Opening night. Critics raved. Toasts to familial reinvention. Betrayals echo faded near gone. Replaced by abundance. Reunions with my Chicago kin. Out now. Awkward barbecues thawing to acceptance. Jax's father. Distant. Emailed tentative congrats. Door cracked. Summer looped to pride again. Now, with Lila in a tiny rainbow onesie. Parade a legacy pass. Jax headlined a stage. Dedicating to the man who changed everything. Eyes locking mine. Crowd roaring. Healing's plateau reached not end. But continuum emotions ebbing. Flowing. Growth perpetual. That naked walk-in. Genesis. Now myth foundational. One eve. Deck recliners. City twinkling below. Jax's head on my lap. Everything changed, he mused. Echoing title. I smiled, fingers carding hair. For the better, years layered like sedimentary rock, each stratum a testament to endurance. The queen and house sold. Proceeds splitting equitable. Elena and Marcus to a Fremont bungalow with garden for Lila's romps. Jax and I to a modern loft in Belltown. Floor-to-ceiling windows framing the Needles' nightly light show. Exposed brick and steel beams echoed our raw beginnings. The space a gallery for Elena's rotating loans. Jax's awards on shelves glinting gold. Jax's career arced stellar, albums charting, tours global, but homecoming sacred. Suitcases unpacked to my embrace. He mentored at the center, workshops for queer youth, his story beacon. From straight confusion to this, he'd say, guitar in lap, kids rapped, pride swelled, legacy building. My book launched to acclaim, blueprints of belonging, talks packing houses, from South by Southwest to local libraries. Elena illustrated the cover, abstract lines converging, colors queer spectrum. Signings became family affairs. Lila doodling beside, Marcus hawking merchery. Elena's art evolved maternal. Series on interwoven lives. Motherhood's tangle with pasts. Lila, now 5, prodigy in clay. Her pieces beside moms at shows. Family holidays blended. Thanksgivings at ours. Christmases theirs. Tables groaning with fusion feasts. Elena's tamales. My pecan pie. Jax's vegan twists. Conflicts arose. Inevitable. Jax's burnout mid-tour. Canceling dates. My resentment flaring over solo beds. Arguments echoed old patterns. But tools honed, timeouts. Letters exchanged. Therapy virtual bridging miles. We're architects of us. Reminder mantra. Rebuilding swifter each cycle. A new betrayal shadowed. Not intimate, but professional. Jax's label exec. Predatory. Pushing exploitative clauses. Queer angle commodified. Outrage united us. Lawyer looped. Elena rallying artist allies for boycott. Resolution public. Exec ousted. Jax's contract renegotiated fair. Empowerment surged. His next release defiant anthem. Healing deepened in quiet milestones. Adopting a rescue mutt. Milo. Romps in Gasworks Park. Weekend getaways to Montana's plains. Elena's family ranch hosting reunions. Lila riding ponies. Jax and I stargazing. Vastness humbling. My Chicago roots mended fully. Siblings visiting. Nieces giggling at Uncle Cam's tales. Lila's questions pierced innocent. Why too dad for Jax? Elena fielded graceful. Love shapes families unique. Like snowflakes, our influence woven. Her drawings of us rainbow-hued. Crisis finale crested in Elena's diagnosis, breast cancer. Early, treatable, but terror-gripped. Chemo cycles. We rotated vigils. Jack's playlist soothing. Me massages easing aches. Marcus steadfast. Lila's crafts bedside cheer. Remission declared spring. Blooms triumphant. Her show resilience rendered cathartic sellout. Post-recovery. Life refracted luminous. Jax's Grammy nod. Performance live with me in Wings. My TED fellowship. Elena co-presenting. Lila's school play. Us cheering rowdy. Decade mark from that door swing. Anniversary dinner intimate. Thai redux. Candlelit. To changes, Jax toasted. Eyes blue locked mine. Elena joined dessert. Lila yawning. Marcus wrangling. Stories retold. Laughter cathartic. The naked moment punchline fond. Legacy crystallized in the center's expansion. Wing named Hail Jackshaven. Youth plaques, etching journeys. Dedication ceremony. Reigns held. Speeches heartfelt. Jax's closing. One vulnerable step alters trajectories. Embrace the change. Elder now. Silver threading fuller. I reflect from the loft balcony. Jax beside. Milo at feet. Seattle sprawls. Lights winking like knowing eyes. Betrayals transmuted to wisdom. Crises to compassion. Love's narrative human. Flawed. Profound. In this modern American tapestry, rain-slick streets, diverse souls, resilient hearts, we found not perfection, but wholeness. The straight stepson who walked in naked altered everything, birthing a story of redemption, where vulnerability begets victory. And in the quiet, hand in his, I know, this is the human endeavor, loving fiercely through the storm.